Yeah, I think everyone now can see my browser. Okay, so let's start today's training. So this is today's topic is about DK scene customization. And this is the outline today. So I will tell you how you can create a whole custom scene with our latest scene template. And I also tell you about how you must learn the less and roughly step to customize the scene, including to get a base scene and add custom style and to preview the result and then generate a jar and how to apply it. And later I will talk about some use case. And then I will introduce some how to customize some previous themes because now in the latest ZK we use Ice Blue as default theme, but in older version we use other old themes like Breeze or Sapphire. Okay, so this is the today's outline. So first of all, I want to introduce you. If you want to create, this is a scene template. If you search ZK scene template in GitHub, you will find this is a public repository. So this is our latest way to customize a scene. If you check our document, you can see there are actually several ways to create custom scene. If you migrate from the previous version, you can see that in older version there are two ways, but they are all deprecate in ZK8. So now if you want to create a custom scene, please use this scene template repository. So why you have to use this, why we suggest you to use this scene template is because there are two benefits, because they're easy to maintain, because you are using a repository, you can track every change you commit. So easy to check what you have changed. And in previous methods, usually you just create a folder or a file, and it's hard to track the change. Or maybe we use SimRoller, you just download lots of file, and it's hard to unless you track by yourself. So it's easy to maintain and upgrade because we would suggest you to fork our ZK scene template repository. So when you fork, you will have a linking with the original repository, so you can easy to compare and merge the change from the original repository. So when we have some bug fix or have some change, you can easily compare two file or just pull the latest change to upgrade your current custom scene, because usually you will base on our one of our standard scene to create your own. Okay, so this is for the custom scene. But yeah, for some of you, maybe you just want to customize some components. Maybe you just want this button to become red, or maybe you want a window to have some border or without border. So in such case, you should check the other another document about this is a ZK style customization guide that will teach you how to use these component property attributes to do some smaller customization. This guide is used to, if you just want to customize something, some part of the component, not the whole, not for every component. If you want to create you want to customize want to change colors or fonts for every components, then you need to create a custom scene. But if you want to change a part of a set of components, then you need to consider, you need to read this document. So, but this is not the topic of today. So I will just quickly introduce a very small application, a very small example about this. I will show you how to create a style, use create custom style for S class and Z class. And what's the difference? So first of all, start my example project. So if you see here, this is the way how you can customize a component. For example, oh, sorry, it's not this one. This is style. So there are two attributes in ZK, actually three. One is style, one is S class, one is Z class. Okay, I need to stop another server. Not this one. Okay. So if you want to do some customization on style, the simplest way is just use style. For example, color red that you can see in this one. If you use the inspector developer tool to check, yes, the style, ZK will generate what you specify in style attribute into the style. So it will change to color red. So this is the more straightforward way to customize a component. But if you want to reuse this kind of style, for example, you want to make it red in multiple components that the style is not, inline style is not a good idea. So you need to use S class, actually means style class. So we use S class to differentiate with the Java keyword class. So you can define a CSS class first, then add specify CSS class here. So what's the effect? The effect is if we inspect this one, you can see it will append your custom class red into the default custom. So you can see default CSS class. So you can see the Z dash button is the default CSS class for ZK button component. But if you specify S class red, so you will ZK will append it on it. So you can the fact is you will keep the original style, the default style, but just override partial by your custom class. So you can see here, there's a red on it. So it can also do some partial customization. But if you want more deeply customization, for example, you don't want the original ZK default building style, then you need to use the Z class. So you can use Z class, for example, with red. So the effect is different. If you check this button, you can see the class here doesn't contain any Z button. It just contains red. So Z class means you want to overwrite. You want to override all the default CSS class. So just red is left. So you can see it just render in the browser default style with color red. So for the button component is simple because it just have one class. But for some component, or for most of ZK component, they are multiple class used for component. So you can see for window component, it actually will be rendered with a set of CSS class with Z, but all starting with Z dash window. For example, Z dash window embed, Z dash window header, window contents, etc. So if you use S class on the window, that's okay because yeah, you will append your custom class here, red on the outer elements. So there's a red here, you can see. And ZK will also render its default CSS class on this component. But if you use Z class on the window, so for example here, because the Z class will override all its default class, so you can see you will use it as a prefix. So it's called red, and then if it's an embed window, it will generate a red dash embed, red dash header, red dash content. So you have to prepare a set of CSS class for window, not just red. So in this case, this is the incorrect usage because I don't create the red dash embedded. But for Z class, for this kind of CAD component, you need to create a set of CSS class to customize it. So this is the case that you can customize for a specific component or a set of components. Okay, so just simply introduce about this. So let's go back to our main topic, scene customization. Okay, so actually our README contains a roughly step. So the roughly step you can see here, just get a standard scene. So basically, when you fork the whole repository, you already get the standard scene. Okay, so because ZK scene template is written by LESS, so you need to learn the LESS before you start to customize. But what is LESS? LESS actually is a CSS preprocessor. So it allows you to use some kind of programming like syntax, programming language like syntax. So it supports variables, like you can define some variables. So you can use CSS syntax, but it also supports some language extensions. So you can use variables and even some like mixing. Mixing is actually like something like function. So actually, you can even pass parameters into it. So we don't go into detail, so you need to check the document about this. I assume you need to read the lesson, learn the LESS first, so you will know in this repository, it contains lots of LESS file. So you need to know how to use this syntax to create a custom scene. Okay, so this is the first step. And so the roughly step is you fork our repository and you do some initializing, and then you add your custom style, and we have a preview application you can run and to start preview it. Then after everything is done, you complete your customization, you can generate a seam jar, and then you can put the seam jar into your project, and then you can specify some setting to use the seam jar. Okay, let's do it a whole process to show you how to do it. For example, this is our already fork and put a ZK scene template in our in my local repository. Okay, so for here, let's start it. So first, because usually we will want to create a scene with my name. So with custom name. So there's a script you can see is an init script. We can run this init script and you can execute to. So let's just do some, give some simple name, for example, my theme. Okay, and the version 1.0, and the display name, just a display name. So I create a theme called my theme, and we will do some initializing process. We will actually just replacing some these kind of placeholder to your name. So if you check the source here, okay, you can see its packages was previously it was underline scene name, but actually now becomes my theme. So replace everything in your project with your name. So my theme is the current name, so it become my theme. My theme, my theme, my theme. Okay, so this is the first initialize process. And then after you initialize it, you need to install the Node.js. Okay, so I assume you already installed it, and we need a Node.js 10.16. So need to be 10.16 or above. So I think the Node.js is easy. I don't show you how to install. You can just check the documents because it's very I think that there are very clear document how to install. So you can just check here. Node.js, he has very clear document you can install according to your operating system. So after you installed the Node.js, they'll need to, already installed it. Then you need to also need to install the zk-less engine. So we already specified the package here. So you just run npm install, npm install. Yeah, but I already installed it. So if you are run the first time, you need to install the zk-less engine. And zk-less engine is just, we also use the standard less engine, but because zk has some special customized processing on less, so we create our less engine, but still we're calling the less processor to process those less file. So you can see in here, we have many less file. It's put it under these web folders. So if you run and you install the less file, the simplest thing is you can package clean run Maven package, and then you will start to invoke the less processes to compile all this less file. And you will produce a jar. Okay, so in your target folder, so here, just reload it. So you can see you will create a jar as if. So just put this jar into your repository. So put it into your project and specify the preferred name, preferred scene name. Okay. Put it into your jar, into your repository, and when you want to switch it to your theme, you can check this switching themes. So first, you need to you can specify in DKXML with this library property the theme preferred. The name is for my case, the name is my theme. If you have your custom name, you need to specify your custom. So the first time you need to put the jar into your include in your project, and then later you need to specify in ZKSML. Then you will switch to use your custom theme. Okay, let's go into the details. So this is the overall process. So how to customize themes, and first you need to when you fork this repository, it use the default theme, which is the ice blue. Okay, so if you want to use another themes, you need to use another themes. You need to get its source. But first, you need to, for example, there's a preview application. So we can run this preview application by running command. So let's see the preview application. We can run a preview application like this to run Maven test execution preview application here. So actually, this preview application is a Spring Boot application, and its page is here. So when you run Spring Boot preview application, it will just run this application. You can see Spring Boot application, and it will run, show you this preview page. Okay, let's see the preview. Okay, so this is the preview page. So when you build your application, when you build your custom themes, you can run this preview page to see how it looks. Okay. And for example, if you want to preview other component, just modify this rule. Okay, then you will see a different preview page. So if you want to, okay, let's try another use case. For example, if you want to, we want to change to compact. So we stop our server and we change to compact. So if we want to change our compact, we need to check the variables here. This is the default, means it has a bigger padding and bigger margin. So if we want to change to compact, okay, then we need to change to compact here. So, and that's rebuild again. So when we switch the profile to compact, it will start the application with, not started yet. Okay, so yeah, you can see it becomes smaller. The font size is smaller. The compact and padding and margin becomes smaller because we switch to a compact theme. So if you want to, for example, you want to customize your theme based on a compact theme, then you need to specify compact here. Okay. But yeah, this is a bit troublesome. When you change something, you need to recompile and restart your application. So it's a bit time consuming. So we actually, this project also contains the live reload features. For example, we can start a new terminal here, and there's a preview, live reload command. Let's search reload. And the live reload command is it's an npm. So just run this in a separate console. So actually, this is a another process that will start to monitoring your LESS file and check with your keep compiling, turning your LESS into DSP. So for example, we can start to change back to default. So you can see it just try to compile everything and success. So if we reload it, now it's back to default. So you can see you don't need to stop your whole application, just change it, and this will monitoring LESS and change immediately. Yeah, not immediately, maybe several seconds. Okay, so first, there's another, if you want to use another scene, for example, I want to use not iBlue, I want to use another scene because we have different scene pack. If you check DK scene pack, if you check the demo, you can see we have two other 23 themes here. So maybe iBlue is not the closest one you want to customize because maybe your company there's a primary color like green or like others. So you want to customize with this. So you need to, first you need to download our theme pack source. It's under the our EE repository So if you have e-repository access right, you need to download the scene pack here. So for example, if I already downloaded, so if we open the scene pack here, scene pack 961, there's a source jar. So if you extract this source jar, you can go to the palettes. You can see there are lots of different scene name. So just choose one into your, for example, I want to use DeepSeek. So just extract this DeepSeek into your project. For example, we put it under this folder, archive and web, Zool, colors, you put it in DeepSeek here. And then we need to rename this scene palette as DeepSeek. Okay, let's save it. So what is a DeepSeek? So we put it here, DeepSeek, and let's see the preview. Now this one. Okay, so this is the DeepSeek color. You can see change to dark blue and green. So you can, if your primary color looks more similar in DeepSeek, you can use DeepSeek. Okay, so this is the basic steps. You choose a theme and a profile that closer to your the expected scene. Then you start to customize it. Then okay, then if we want to customize it, and first, the most straightforward way, just use here. For example, I change here to 12. This base font size becomes smaller. So actually, you can see it becomes smaller. So this is the one way. But we don't suggest this way because if you modify too much in this file, then in the future, it's very hard to compare with ZK's original file. So it will be hard to merge our latest bug fix or change when you upgrade to the next version. So what we suggest is you create a new file like this. For example, you create a my theme, okay, and create my theme and just override the color here. So just override those variables. For example, those variables you want your color primary. The color primary might be here. Okay, the color primary here. So maybe just put the color primary. Okay, just put the color primary here. Okay, and this is the variables that you want to override, maybe with another color, something like this. And then this is the separate file, so you need to import it here to import it in headers. So input in the last line. That's because the later variable can override the previous, so you need to put it in the last line. So when you override these, the color, this is the prime color ZK variable, color prime. So you can choose the prime color. Okay. But it seems it doesn't change. My theme that less, okay, my theme that less, I don't write. So let's check what's the color. Maybe we change this one like the change to another color. Okay, or we can change the base font. For example, base font size like this. Yeah, it seems doesn't work. Why? 12 pixels base font. ZK variables headers. Okay. Put it side by side. Okay, like this. 16. Okay, it changed. Reload. It seems it doesn't change. Okay, must be something I changed wrong, I guess. Let's see. Variable deep C right. Okay, so base form. So okay, import. Really? Oh, my seamless. Do I spell it wrong? Okay, just change
Is the
back.
profile suffix? I think the folder prefix is missing in the reference import, right?
Sorry, what
If you
what
go
is
to the
missing?
import, in the header, go to the header. Yeah, the folder prefix in the line number 11, it should be profile slash, right?
Other variables. No, profile is inside
Oh,
here.
profile is outside. Okay, sorry, my mistake.
Yeah, so it should be in the 7 folder. So I think must be missing something. Okay, but yes, the basic principle is like this. So maybe I think I missed. Do I miss something? Variables base form 6. Column. I think I forgot the column. Should be like this. Okay, yeah, I forgot the syntax is color. Okay, so yeah, for example, if you want to override it, you need to put it here in a separate file. So the benefit is, so you can see the color change and the font size change. I forgot the color. So that's what's the benefits? The benefits you can put your customization in one place. So keep other file unchanged. So when you upgrade to the new version of Zcade, then you can easily compare with because every other less file, the ZK original file doesn't change. You can easily compare that which is changed by ZK, and all your custom thing is inside this file. And this is a new file, so you can easily to merge the change from the ZK repository. So that's the benefits. So you can see here the Hello Kitty color, something like this. So you can override it. So there are some, the first several the most use case is you want to change the primary color. So you can just change primary color here, change the font size here, or maybe you want to change the padding. Okay, but the padding and the margin is many. So if you check here, you can search padding. Variables like There are many paddings. Let me just search padding here. So you can see there are many paddings. Different components have different padding. So if you want to change paddings, you need to explicitly specify which padding. For example, this is Z group padding, and there are chosen box padding, and so different components have different padding and different margin. So you need to search them all, or you can also use kind of variables and something like this. You use a variable portrait children counter padding. So to apply all the same padding on all the components. Okay, so this is the way you can customize the whole thing. Then after you preview is done, you think, oh, this is okay, and I want this kind of color, the small font, and then you can start to build your project with Maven and produce a jar. Okay, and what if, so this is thing repository is to use it, used to build based on the new thing. So if you want to customize the old thing, so first you need to, there are several ways. Let's go back to our repository. Where's the repository? Here. Okay, first if you want to customize the breathing here, then you need to check out here. There's a breathe branch. So you can see this contains the breathe setting here. So they are almost the same. You just follow the same step to initialize, to customize, to change the less file based on breathing. So you don't need to, so that's the benefits. You don't need to modify the ice blue into a breeze and then start with breeze. Yeah, if you want your destination scene, your expected target scene is more similar like breeze, you can just start with breeze and start customize it. And if you want something like other things like Atlantic, then you need to go to this repository, Atlantic. You can see it has similar structures. It also has the init script. So you do the same thing, you just run init, and to change your name, maybe you want another name other than Atlantic. And it also contains all these kind of less, you can see less file here. So you just change the less variables as I just told you, and start building with Maven packages. So you produce a jar. So follow the same step. You can customize based on the Atlantic theme. And then there's also an older thing like you want some based on a Sapphire theme or Silvertail theme. So you need to go to this repositories and get here. And you can see it also has a similar structure within this script, and also change the less file and do this packages jar. Okay, so this is the way how you can create a theme, a custom theme. So if you want all these details, because there are several details here, you can just check the README here. So don't worry, no need to take. Oh, sorry, this is not this repository. This one about today's training. What I've talked about is almost written down in here. You can check the detail here, the build step here, fork, how to build a jar, how to switch to a theme pack, how to add the new less file, and a preview. And there are some use case, common use case. You can just change the color, the font size, font family, and also the position, the URL of the older scene. So no need to remember. You can just check here to get all the information. Okay, so this is the how you customize the themes. So if you want to know how to switch in a theme or some other information, you need to check our document here. Just create scene template, this also contains some information, but the details is in the repository. Okay, so you can check for source code here. So, okay, is there any questions? This is basically roughly what I want to tell you today. You can type your question in the chat, or you can turn on your speaker, the microphone, to ask your question. This is the scene template. Scene content is not restricted in C edition. Yeah, it's not restricted. So you can, but in C, you just can customize based on the ice blue scene and the breeze scene. For those scene pack, it's a paid version. So for ZK scene pack, this is only EE customer can get this extra 23 scenes. So yeah, for CE customer, you can based on ice blue and the breeze or those older scenes like sapphire or silvertail. So you can, but you still can do it with this ZK scene repository because you can see it's a public repository. And previous someone mentioned about using Spring Boot and scene template, but I think these two things are independent. So you can run the Spring Boot. Yeah, it doesn't affect you use this kind of thing. So you can, this is independent. No matter you use Spring Boot or not, you can just create a theme, just produce a jar for you, and jar contains DSP. Someone asked a long question. He say, our layout that when setting style 200 pixel for width is different from setting a component directly to 200 pixel in width. So what's different with directly in width? Yeah, usually it will, for simpler component, it could be the same. But for some complicated component, sometimes it is different because for example, like this box, it contains nested structures. So if you set width, then it will just set width at the outermost element. But there are other factors that affect inside. For example, each color, each text. If you the text inside or the component inside here, it's not always determined by the total, the outermost width. So for example, use a window that if you set width is set on the window's outermost elements width, but sometimes it doesn't always determine how the width inside the component. So that could be the difference. And second question, can we tweak the order of class in order of S class attribute? The order class means, oh, you mean maybe you have custom class red, but what you need to prepend it in front of ZK class or append it after ZK class. And currently, there's no way to do this. If you want to do so, you have to do it by JavaScript. Yeah, but ZK will have its own implementation to prepend on it. But if you want to do so, you have to do it by JavaScript, like pending your S class. But it's not very. I don't think does the order affect something, anything. Usually, if you use CSS selector, I think the order is it's the same if you prepend it or append it. So currently ZK doesn't support.
I'm
Please.
sorry, I unmuted it for that, just for this point. Isn't it a factor when you have, for example, you can have some styling based, for example, the red and green as for the same button, and I'm thinking out of my mind, and you want to have a specific override order of the attribute. It can happen. It could happen that you place an attribute and then even itself ZK could override you, or it never happens that. Just asking. Okay, I haven't used your team package or the way that you have presented us today, and it's just a question. Okay, don't.
Sorry, I don't understand you. But you mean something override the attribute?
Yeah, the order of how CSS is laid out, and you place the various classes. Doesn't it matter how it is parsed from HTML, from browser, from?
Oh, you mean the? Oh, I know what you mean. You mean the, for example, here.
Here,
you will
yes.
prepend or the, for example, blue. Which one is priority, has higher priority? Oh, okay. So it's not I think it's not determined by the order. It's determined by the selector. The selector has some specificity. So
okay.
So if you need to check CSS specificity. Sorry. So this specificity will determine its CSS priority. So you need to check. Usually, if you there is a general rule. If you specify the selector more specifically, that its priority will be higher. So if you specify, for example, if you specify all the button, then it's more general. But if you specify a button under some window and a button with a specific class, then this rule has higher priority than all the button. So that's you need to, if you want something to, or if you want your rule to override the existing rule, then you need to specify the rules more specifically. For example, the button with the class, or button with the ID, or button with the parent, specific parent, something like this. Or you just specify the style, for example, color red, then it's, if you specify the style, then it's the most, the highest priority. That's the way. If you want to use CSS class, then I think the order inside the class, it doesn't matter. It matters only the order, priority order is determined by the specificity here. So you can read this. It's not ZK spec. It's the CSS spec.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for your explanation.
Yeah, or you can specify important. It's also a way, but usually people don't. This is the last result. If you use a very specific rule, but still cannot override that rule, you can add this important. Okay, so another question is, the C question, is the Theme Customizer compatible with Bootstrap? Yeah, Bootstrap has its own CSS rule. So it's two different things. I'm not sure how you mean Bootstrap, but you can try to apply the Bootstrap rule, for example, into the our CSS repository, so it can look like Bootstrap. Basically, our IceBlue is flat design, so just very similar like Bootstrap. So its style is very like, but it's not actually a Bootstrap, because yeah, actually they are two different things. So if you check Bootstrap, you can see it also has the flat design, yeah, it just doesn't contain any shadows. So it's what we call flat design. But we don't, so we now don't have exactly the same thing as Bootstrap. So, but we just follow the same design guideline. So if you really want something exactly the same as Bootstrap, there's no such thing for now. Then you have to migrate those CSS rules and put it into our CKScene template. That could be a way, but it has high cost. So because we have similar rules, but not exactly the same. So yeah. Once the jar is created and imported into our project, how can we get the variables, for example, the primary color from our CSS file? No, if you already put the jars into your CSS file, into your project, you won't see the last file. You won't see the variable, because this is the source file. I can tell you, this last file is the source file. So when you can see the compile processing. You will compile the last file into DSP file. So the DSP file is the final file of a CSS. So if you see ZK, you can see here, finally it will generate a real CSS here. Okay, so you can see this kind of last file, it's not actually a CSS file. So it's just like a spatial syntax for CSS. So it needs to be processed by this last compiler. So you can see there are lots of messages, just compile input into CSS DSP. And DSP is the final file that is stored in our scene jar. And ZK will combine this DSP file into one file we call zk.wcs. This is web cascading package. So it combines, it merged all the component CSS rules into this. So there are two phases. First phase, you write last file here, and if you run Maven clean package, then ZK will it will compile this last file into CSS DSP. And so when in the runtime, we won't load this last file. We just load this CSS DSP file. ZK will just load this file and merge them into real CSS. So you can see there's no variable here. So you won't know the variables because all the variables was replaced by its actual color code. Okay, so does that answer your questions? Okay, so is there any other question? I missed the question by AMOL. Okay, where is the question? Oh, okay, it's up there. Okay, I question, how can we dynamically change theme from UI itself? How can dynamically change theme from UI? Okay, yeah, this is the topic in our documents. You can see here, there are several ways. Just check switching themes here. There are two ways. Either you switch by cookies. There's an API here. I need to reload it. Or you can dynamically switching theme, use the library properties here. And so there are actually two ways. But using library property, this will affect the whole system. So every user log into the system will change because the library property is set. This is a global property, so it will affect the whole application. And the cookie, you can see, yeah, it's the personal. So if you want to provide some kind of personal preference for themes, then you can use this call to set as custom theme, or you can use standard theme. It's okay. It's a theme name. So that's the way. Or you can use even the scene resolution process. You can customize it how you file a scene. Okay, so that's the it's not okay. Do I miss any questions? Okay, no. Great. Okay, thank you for joining. If there's no other questions, that's end for today's public training. So please stay focused on our website notification to know what is the next training, or you can feedback to us what kind of topic you want to know. So we will consider your feedback. And thank you very much for joining this public training. Thank you. See you next time. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Thank you. Thank you.
All right.
Bye-bye.